So anytime I'm over in Texas and I'm going somewhere for tacos and they have carne guisada tacos on the menu, I am definitely ordering them every single time. I had them most recently at Burnt Bean and they were delicious. And carne guisada basically means stewed beef. It's a South American beef stew dish, more often than not served with beans, rice and tortillas, but I think it works just as well just as a taco filling on its own. So I'm gonna make some up now. It's really, really easy to make and generally pretty cheap. And that's because it is a stew, it's a long, slow cook. Ideally, you wanna be using the cheaper cuts, the braising cuts, the stewing cuts, stuff that isn't gonna be particularly tender until you cook it for a while. And those cuts of beef are generally cheaper. Full recipe will be down below, but I'm starting off with 1 kilogram of diced braising steak. And we're gonna need a pot. I've got some rendered beef fat in there, some smoked rendered beef fat. And working in batches, gonna brown this stuff off. This is cubed up into 1-inch chunks. Once that's got some nice color, take those out. Second half going in. And once those are colored up, take these out. Try and leave as much of that fat in there as possible. Then we're gonna go in with some finely diced onion, some finely diced bell pepper, green, and some finely chopped garlic. And you don't need to worry about the garlic going in now. There's more than enough moisture in the onion and the green bell pepper to prevent the garlic from burning. Cook those out for 5 to 10 minutes until everything's cooked down and fragrant. Once those are cooked out, we're gonna go in with some Roma tomatoes, or plum tomatoes as we call them here in the UK. Cook those out for 3 to 4 minutes. Then we're gonna go in with some tomato puree, and then our spices, some ancho chili powder, cumin, Mexican oregano, regular chili powder, black pepper, 2 deseeded chili de arbols, bay leaf, and some flavor enhancer. Talk more about that in a minute. Get that all well incorporated. Once those spices have cooked out for just a few minutes, gonna go in with some plain flour and start making our gravy. So just like when you're making any roux, you really wanna cook this flour out. The better you cook it out, the less grainy the gravy's gonna be and the more silky it's gonna be. So cook that out for 5 to 10 minutes. Once that flour's cooked out, we're gonna go back in with all the juices and all the seared stewing meat. Gonna roughly try and incorporate everything together. Then we're gonna go over with good beef stock. We'll go in with a big pinch of salt, get that all mixed around, bring that up to a boil. So once that comes to a boil, we're gonna turn it down to a low simmer, put the lid on and slow cook this for about 2 hours. So 2 hours should be about enough, but really what we're looking for is nice tender meat. We don't want it to fall apart. We want the chunks of beef to stay in their chunks, but be super, super tender. We also want the liquid to reduce and create a nice thick gravy. So we'll check it every hour or so and see how we get on. In terms of the flavor enhancer that I added, you could use MSG or something like this. This is just chicken bouillon powder, but the flavor enhancer that I use today is the savourYe by Two Guys in a Cooler. So Eric sent me this for free. It's not a sponsored video or anything like that, but he sent it over for me to try. It's basically yeast extract. You can use it in soups, stews, and in sausage making. If you want to give your sausages an extra kick of flavor, just like something like MSG would, bring that rich, deep umami flavor, this is a good alternative. So it's 100% natural, GMO-free, gluten-free, vegan. It's just pure yeast extract. I've been using it recently in my pasta sauces. I'm yet to try it in my sausage, but I'm looking forward to that, but it works really, really well. Basically, when you want to add umami flavor to something like this or this exactly is going to be perfect. And yeah, works really, really well in this type of cooking. Chilies, all that kind of stuff. So thanks to Eric for sending this over. I'll put a link below where you can buy it. So about an hour and 50 minutes later, this is done. Should be able to see it's reduced nicely. It's really thickened up. It's nice and glossy. A real nice Mexican stew. That beef hasn't broken down as well, which is great, but that is really hot. Can start to pull it apart easily with my fingers, and it's very tender. So the way I like to serve this up is really simple. I like to get some good quality tortillas, and that's either normally making my own, or in this case, I've got some HEB tortillas that I brought home from Texas. Go down with that carne guisada with as much of the gravy as you want, really. And then for me, importantly, I like to go on with some shredded cheese quite quickly after it's gone down, just because I want to get a little melt in there. I think it looks good. Hit that with a little bit of coriander, just a little bit, and you've got some pretty perfect, in my opinion anyway, carne guisada tacos. That is solid. One thing that I forgot to film whilst I was doing it was that I added salt to taste. I played it kind of safe up front while there was still a lot of water in there. Didn't want to over salt it and then reduce all that water down. It'd be too salty. So as it reduced and got to the consistency that I wanted, I added just as much salt as I thought it needed, and turned out perfectly seasoned. The other thing I forgot to show was that I added a drop of apple cider vinegar at the end, just because it was overly rich and fatty and salty, savory. So a little bit of apple cider vinegar just to cut through everything. And yeah, ended up with with some real delicious carne guisada tacos on some HEB tortillas. So it doesn't get better than that. So yeah, this recipe is absolutely solid and I highly recommend you give it a go. If you've never heard of it before, it might sound like it's kind of intimidating, but it's really not. And you don't have to have it in tacos. You can eat it with rice, kind of like a chili. You could just dip tortillas or bread into it. It's super, super versatile. So before this video ends, I want to give a shout out to my channel members. I really do appreciate you supporting me. In addition to you watching the channel, commenting, doing all that kind of stuff, being a channel member is a way that you can support me month in, month out. And I really do appreciate it. It really helps me out. It really helps me to continue to make these videos. So a big shout out to those guys. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. It really does help me out. The recipe for this will be down below. So if you do follow it, make it, let me know. And I'll see you next week for another video.